Buenos días. Nos encontramos en la última jornada.
Good morning. We're on our last day. Everything, all things good have got an end, but we've got a day ahead full of activities, and I'm sure we're going to make the most of it. Every day we've been focusing on a different day. Wednesday was technology. Yesterday, Thursday, we've looked at digital entrepreneurship, and today we're going to focus on where Fiware shines the most, which is smart territories. The format of this morning will be similar to previous days, but today we're going to change a little bit, and the teams who have been working over these 3 days on technology solutions based on Fiware to control social distancing are going to present their results, and we're going to give the award to the best team. But that's talking about later today. We're going to start the morning with the welcome by Mr. Garcia Rosa. He's a developer of technology in Gran Canaria. So, Mr. Miguel, the floor is yours.
All right. Okay. ¿Se oye?
Can you hear me? Good morning to you all. Welcome again. Welcome, Maria. And I think the organizers of this event have been extremely smart, leaving for today when we're all tired and it's Friday. So we're already thinking on the weekend. So to keep that tension, we've left to the end me to be with Maria, which is the most interesting aspect of this Fiware camp. Obviously, for me, it's the most important, and that makes sense because it's where we're working on, it's the part I'm working on in assistance with the local government for Smart Gran Canaria. So that's probably why I find this day more interesting and why I think it's the most important. But I'm also going to talk about, if I go back to what Juanjo Hierro said on Wednesday, who was talking about Fiware technology, open APIs for open minds, he kept referring to the projects of smart territories, cities, smart destinations, territories overall. In those projects is where Fiware, that's where Fiware works, and it's where Fiware provides solutions to a specific problem for those projects. Referring to the speech given by Juanjo Hierro, he talked about a constellation of vertical project or sectorial projects linked to certain public sectors, to lighting, waste recovery. They had in common that context broker who coordinates and gives transversality to all the projects. So all those vertical or sectorial projects didn't work independently. Instead, they cooperated with each other, sharing information in a standard and smart way. And my experience has shown me that smart territory projects are not a closed package which you implement one time by one company, but they're developed over time as new needs appear or new funding. So all those verticals aren't born at the same time, but they appear over time. So that we can add a new vertical and it can work in harmony with the other sectors. There has to be something there to make it easy to incorporate new systems which could have been developed by different projects, by different entities, and for different administrations or public sectors. And on top of that, the territory platforms don't work independently. They need to coordinate with other systems and with other platforms from other territories, because territories have got barriers between them. They've got borders. And if we want services to citizens to be continuous and homogeneous, that border or that barrier between administrations means that those platforms have to be able to work with each other, to cooperate, to exchange data. And apart from allowing that coordinating work, there have to be synergies between them. And this isn't possible if there isn't a framework where there's interoperation, humanity, of API systems or open interfaces. And Fiware, based on its own definition, has already have in their DNA that feature. So that's why I think that this is going to be one of the most interesting days. I invite you all to enjoy it, and thank you very much for your participation. And let's go ahead. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Miguel. Bueno, a continuación.
Thank you very much, Miguel. So now we will be speaking with a keynote on streaming with Misa Lavarile. So we will have all the initiatives that we have at this moment regarding smart tourism destinations. I will take off my face mask. So we have already the COVID-19 protocol in ourselves. So now with Misa Lavarile, we will have a while to know these initiatives in depth, these initiatives from Europe. So she is the policy officer at the General Directorate of Tourism, Internal Markets, Industries, Entrepreneurships, and SMS. And we will know firsthand what she's doing because she's online. I don't know whether she's ready. Sí, lo estoy.
Misa, buenos días. Muchas gracias por unirte a nosotros.
Muchas gracias por invitarme.
So thank you very much for inviting me. So thank you very much for having me. So I speak Spanish, but I will not be able to speak in Spanish. So you speak very well, but your speech will be in English. So as you are more comfortable, so you have the floor.
Pues buenos días. Aquí tenéis mi ponencia y voy a pasar en inglés. Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's much easier for me in English because these are topics we discuss all the time these days, and it's always in English. So if you have any questions, then later and they're in Spanish, there is absolutely no problem, but I feel just more comfortable doing this in English. So thanks. And I was just listening to what the speaker just before me was talking about, and I cannot but agree. I think smart destinations is all there is to talk about. And I would like to give you the context of what we're doing in Brussels with the member states and with the regions and with the cities, and why I think this is important to hear and to memorize. And if there are issues or sort of details that are a bit institutional and so difficult, just raise your hands and we can go into more details. But for now, this is what I'd like to show to you. A bit of policy work, as you can see here in the first little pillar, the first little ball. So the context, what we're doing, that's very political. And that's because tourism is a priority for the European Union. The second bit here is what we do when we talk about digital tourism and smart tourism, and they go together. It cannot just be digital, it has to be smart. And there's a lot there about destinations, territorios, and cities. There's a lot there. And then I also wanted to give you a hint about funds, because there's loads available. So lots of money, which is nice to hear, and also a way to show you where to find it if you have projects that you would like the European Union to help you fund. Okay, so first and foremost, what we're doing is we put tourism up as a top priority. We've done this through several ways. You will see three bits here, three bullet points that show you, will talk to you about an industrial strategy. That's what the Commission has adopted recently. And that's where we say tourism is important. Tourism is an ecosystem. It's not just a sector, it's an ecosystem. So it's alive, but it's connected to loads of other things. So we need to tackle it as an ecosystem. The second bullet, it's about council conclusions. Nobody really knows much about this, but this is about the government sitting together and deciding that tourism is a super top priority this year as it was last year because of course of COVID, and it should be a priority in the years to come. Okay, so that's why I put it there. That's why it is important. And it's very recent, it's the end of May. So this is how strongly they're working on this. This is governments. And then I put a third bullet towards the European agenda because that's where we're going. We're going in that direction. We would like to have a vision for the next 10 years, 20 years. And we would like to do that through a transition pathway that I hope you can see, that is the transition pathway is our way of saying we want to help tourism become more green and more digital. And we want to do that over the years, so over the next 10 and 20 years. I would have loved to tell you, the consultation for this is open because it was supposed to be today, but it's not out yet. Hopefully today we will publish it. If not, keep an eye out next Monday, next week. What is it? It is a document that we have written in our small team. I wrote the part on digital and on smart tourism. So this is what essentially you're going to find something that I wrote. And if you're interested in this, you're going to find actors, who does what the problems are, and where we would like to be in 2030. And we need your input. So this document will be online. It won't be long. It's like 20 pages tops. It'll be online. Take a look, tell us everything you think. Tell us if we are being too ambitious, not ambitious enough. But, give us your input, because everything we do, we need to do it with the industry and with the actors and with the destinations. And we have to, because, tourism, we don't do law in tourism. It's only the member states. It's the governments who legislate on tourism. It's not the Commission, and it's not the EU. Okay, so whatever we do, we need to do it with you. And this is for the general context, but you've seen I put it's digital, that we need to go in a direction where it's digital and it's green. So that's where I wanted to go. And it's, this one, number 2. Okay, this is where it gets exciting. I work on this. So this is, I think is like the core of what we're doing, we will be doing for the next few years. When we talk about digital, you can talk about technology and you can talk about e-commerce, but what we really want to talk about is data sharing. This is what we are focusing on, because everybody, the parliament and the governments and the stakeholders, and including the cities, everybody is asking the EU to put up a data space for tourism. That is a data space where you can find all the data that you need. You have open access and you can share it, like all actors, public and private, they can share data. And then with all that lake of data that are present, there wouldn't be in a situation anymore where large platforms have lots of data and small and medium enterprises in cities have no data or access to very little ponds of data. So the idea is a common space. But it's a great ambition, and in order to get there, there are a few steps, and this is what we're doing. And I'm going one by one. So first of all, obviously, when you talk about data, there's already, let's see if you can see it. There already are some statistics. You may be familiar with the with the Eurostat. And so if any of you has done any analysis or any research, sorry for the noise, the windows are open, then you'll know the Eurostat has stats and they come from the member states. So from Spain, for example, I'm sure there's a National Institute for Statistics. So that's what they gather, but they don't work for us in tourism because they're historical data. So what we want to do is for Eurostat to be a bit more important on tourism, and so there's now been an agreement between Eurostat and Booking, TripAdvisor, Airbnb, and Expedia to share data so that we can get some of their data on short-term rentals and accommodation that we wouldn't normally have. And that's already a big step. So we're working towards that. And I think the first dashboard of data will be out, I want to say this month, hopefully. And we'll see. And, it can go down to the level of cities. So this is very interesting for anyone who wants to understand or strategize about tourism. Going quickly, because I want to talk about the destinations, but there's also going to be a tourism dashboard that we're setting up. This is going to be a website on our website, the Commission, so it's not Eurostat, it's us. And you will see visualization of indicators. So that's also very interesting, I think, for policy making particularly. It's going to happen, I think, next year. We're working on it now. Right, that's statistics, which is already figures and information. But something else that's exciting, and I'm working on this, and I'm gathering a workshop actually next month with some of the industry. And if anyone's interested to participate on this, let me know. We would like everybody, like all the operators, to set up a code of conduct, sort of a voluntary code of conduct, to agree among each other on what it would take to share the data that they have. Okay, because data can be of all kinds. So you don't go imagining databases. Imagine data that you generate through telecoms, through, I don't know, your GPS, when you spend using your MasterCard or Visa, it's social media data. There's all kinds, and some of them are impossible to get, particularly social media. Instagram data belongs with Instagram, So what would it take to share that data across, public and private sector or across actors? So it's very ambitious endeavor. We're just starting, and we need to understand from the industry what the appetite for it is and what it would take. But it should come from, not from Brussels. It should come from those who actually use these data, right? Okay, and then we're also working for and with the smart destinations. I'm moving a bit because I can see that all the logos are on top of my face. Smart tourism destinations. This is a project that the European Parliament was really keen on, so they gave us the money to do it. Okay, so it's important to say. We have a website, check it out. It's just been put up, so there may not be a lot on it, but what you're going to find is a call for experts. So we're looking for experts on smart tourism destinations. We're looking for cities which want to take part in this, because we're going to set up a community of practice of cities that are interested, that are excellent, they want to become excellent, a network. We're going to set up a network, a community of practice, for them to talk to one another, and also for them to receive some training, some coaching if you need it, and that's where the experts come in. They will help us do that. So there's going to be 2 calls for interest, and I think they're already up. I'm not super sure, but it's a matter of days now. You should be able to see them on the website, but for details, it may be a few days to go. I'm not super sure, but it's really just happening as we speak. There's also going to be a study prepared by these excellent contractors that you see here. They won the call that we launched last year. So now they're doing this for us. And I'm following the project because this is what I like to do. They're going to prepare a study, and they're going to prepare a toolkit, so like a real box, a document with tools for cities to take on data management and make the best use of it, and a list of other deliverables. What I think I've not said is that this smart tourism destinations project, it's all about data management. So we call it smart tourism because we believe that if destinations were able to have access to data and manage it well, then they'll be able to have strategies or to set up strategies that can really hit the spot. So no matter what the issue is, if you have access to data and then you can analyze the data, then of course, if consider the data is real time, then you can be a lot more competitive on the market. So what these excellent contractors are doing, they're looking into what it takes for a city to really manage, to actually manage data. And there's so much there that needs helping and solving and supporting, because it's not just about having access to data. There's also a lot about the skills that are required to make sense of data. And, some some searches and some studies require really specific skills. So you don't need to now think that in order to manage tourism for your city, you need to know about the data science or business intelligence. It would be great if you did, but there are services that will provide us that. Well, I mean, there are companies that provide the service for you. The point, though, is what can you do as a destination to become smart in terms of to manage your data so that you become, more sustainable, or you become more competitive, or both. And that's what the study is all about. So, we got ambitions about this study, because all of these actions that I'm talking to you about, they're all eventually going to help us understand what the data space it should look like for everybody working in tourism in the EU to share data. The last bit I wanted to mention is the competitions, and I'll leave it last with no logo and no fancy glitzy stuff, because the deadline's just expired. And I'm sorry that I only could talk to you today because the deadline expired on Wednesday. We have a really decent number of applications. I'm very happy with this. And now our experts are going to go through the applications and give us a short list, hopefully in September. And on that reserve list, that's where the jury will really dig in and decide who wins. And the winners will be announced in November when we have a conference with the the Slovenian presidency. I won't go into the detail, but Slovenia is going to be the president of the Council of the EU for the next 6 months. So there's going to be the winners announced in November. Keep an eye out if you want to. If you took part, then you know all of this. But if you have applied, then please know that our experts are about to meet to go through your application. And if you haven't applied, then please do so next year, because this is the way that we have to find where the excellence is in doing smart tourism. In the case of the first competition, and where the excellence are in where the best cases are for smart tourism in the case of the first competition among bigger cities, at least 100,000 inhabitants, and where the excellences are for sustainable tourism for smaller cities, and that's the Eden competition. Okay, there's a lot on this on their website, so if you take down the name and Google them, you'll find them right away. But again, I hope you have taken part, and I really hope that we'll talk again with some of you soon. If you haven't, every year we'll make sure that this comes out, because it's really rather successful, and cities love it, and they should, because what we give in return for this is a lot of visibility and, again, a lot of networking. And the cities that have won the past couple of years, they're still talking to one another and working together, and also applying to more EU funds. And that takes me to the next thing I wanted to say before I conclude. There's, as I said, it's not always the case, but this year, I can tell you for a fact, this is a lot of money made available by the EU for tourism. Problem is, a lot of that money is scattered through lots of funds. So the fund that I can tell you about is COSME, which then becomes, the Digital Single Program, and everybody gets confused because there's so many names and lots of acronyms. But the money's there. For example, to give an example, in the second half of this year, I need to write a call for interest for more projects coming in, and our budget that we still need to allocate is 10 million euros. Okay, so I need to write a call to select groups, consortia, of contractors that want to work with us, possibly on digital tourism. I hope it'll be on digital, but also sustainable. And the budget is really rather big for all of them. So there's lots of funding. It's everywhere. It's in social funds, cohesion funds, regional funds. So we set up last month this online guide. Now, if you take the name and then you Google it, you'll find it right away. It's really visible. It's also very intuitive. And this is really, really good for the Commission, because it's not always very intuitive what we do. But if you go here, then you'll see that you'll be able to put in what you're looking for, who you are, and what you need. So do you need a loan, or do you need a grant, or do you need technical support? And where? This is all about tourism, okay? Just tourism. But do you want to work on digital? Do you want to work on sustainability or on skills? You put it in, click search, or what is it? Yeah, you click search. And I'll give you all of the funds that are available for that will give you money for that. Every item will give you examples of calls that have won in the past, so you know how to assess your call or your proposal. So I'll give you a list of proposals, and I'll give you the calls that are open now. So it really is a very good tool. I think it's super flexible, and it will save you loads of time in perusing all of the websites of all of the services of the Commission that will give you that have funds available. Right. So this is more or less what I wanted to talk to you about. Mostly putting the accent on data sharing. That was right here. So for me, this is the core what I wanted to tell you about. It's really about data sharing for us. If as destinations or as operators in the tourism sector right now, you have questions about any on this, feel free to ask. I'm here for a little while, and I'm going to have to log off. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Misa. No sé
Thank
si
you very much, Miss. I don't know if there are any questions that you've got. If you want to ask her any questions, seeing as we've still got a couple of minutes. Okay, just a minute for the microphone. Hello. We can hear you. Okay. In Spanish? How can I have access to the funds for funds directed directly to tourism? The link that you gave at the beginning? Which platform? Which link? No. No. Is that the model that we'd have to fill in on the website?
This is formulary. Yeah.
This is the web page. I'm sorry it's not active. So if I go on it, I can't click on it because this is just a screenshot. But yes, this is where essentially Google the online guide for youth funding for tourism.
Yeah.
Sorry. That is the name. You Google it, you'll find the link, and it'll take you here. And this will take you to where you can find the funds. Essentially, everything that has to do with tourism is in here. Okay?
Okay, I try to apply in this form. Thank you very much.
You will get all the information that you need. And then each page, like you will find, I don't know, say for example, that you look for something, I'll send you on the Horizon 2020 page. You'll click on, for example, open calls, and you'll find the call. That is where you apply. Okay, so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
¿Alguna pregunta más? Miguel, aquí.
Any other questions? Hello, good morning. You talked earlier about an agreement that you've between Eurostat and other platforms on online travel agencies, etc. Will that data be available with more information? Will that data be available for citizens somehow, for companies? And what's the segregation level?
Because Eurostat only gives you open access, so everybody has access. But if you go on Eurostat now, you won't find it just now because they're working on it. The problem with Eurostat is, well, it's not a problem, but the good thing about Eurostat is data is really high quality. So the statistics is very high quality, almost academic. So it takes a bit of time for Booking and Expedia, Airbnb and TripAdvisor. Once they send Eurostat their data sets, and they'll have to do with, I haven't seen it, but I understand they'll have to do with number of stays, searches, destinations, to the point of cities. This is my understanding. This is how low it gets, okay? But not to the point of neighborhoods. Cities, yes. Neighborhoods, no. I don't think so. Now, this is my understanding. I have not seen the batch. But that batch has arrived to Eurostat, and then Eurostat is going to have to transform it into statistics in the same standards, because the problem is the standards. We need to meet the same standards of quality. And I'm not saying that Booking doesn't have high quality, they do, but all of these platforms need to be interoperable. So this is what they're doing now. And I'm really not super sure when this is coming out, but when it does, it's absolutely on the Eurostat website. So what you're going to see, it's if you ever played with the Eurostat data sets, you'll see that you can look for the indicators or proxies if you don't have the indicators. And right now you don't have a lot, but you have something on tourism, but not a lot. So keep an eye on the press releases because they will come out, and look it up on Eurostat.
Entonces, ese proceso que
So this process that you've been talking about of doing a process of depuration of data, does this have some kind, will there be a retard from when the data receives to when we see that data? Do you know how long, what that time lapse will be?
This is not real time at all. You want real-time data. If you want access to open access to real-time data, what we need is exactly the data space. We need a data space. If you want to have open access to real-time data and to the data for the data space, we need to make sure that these platforms and everybody else shares what they have. So how are we going to do it? First step is, let's see what they say when we ask them to write a code of conduct. Because the code of conduct would be voluntary, and if they want to sit with us, then perhaps they can say, well, this we can share, this we will not share. So to give you an example, in the case of Eurostat, these platforms shared a lot, but they absolutely did not want to share the costs. So there's no information about quotes and prices, but that's obvious because they need to protect their business model. So you can't really insist, there is no obligation. Now, as I said, DG GROW, the European Commission, we do not do any law on tourism, so we cannot force them. But if there was a regulation at European level on, digital platforms that goes beyond tourism, then they would have to comply. And there are some steps towards regulating this. So we'll see in the future what happens.
De acuerdo. Muchas gracias.
¿Alguna pregunta
Thank
más?
you very much. Any other questions?
Hi, I wanted to ask you regarding the smart destination model. Is there any plan to make a standardized way of defining what a smart destination is? Because there is a norm in Spain, that's the Destinos Turísticos Inteligentes. We have a startup that is going to, help destinations to transform their regular model to a smarter one. And yes, the only reference we have are the Sustainable Development Goals and the Spanish norm. So, is there any plan regarding the standardization of the?
No, there are no plans. But what I can tell you is, in this project, we define it smart because it manages data. But, and I'm just gonna beg for a minute of your time, in this competition for European Capital of Smart Tourism, it's not for the capitals, about large cities, we call them smart because they have really good practices on 4 criteria. So not just digitalization. They have digitalization, which it can be anything, use up of robotics or artificial intelligence or 5G, not just sharing. I think that the sharing is key because I think it is behind everything. So that's why I want to put the accent on it. But as capital of smart tourism that wins this competition will have proven to be really strong on digitalization, sustainability, accessibility, and also the protection and valorization of cultural heritage. So these 4 criteria are used to define it. And this is the closest we get to a definition. But it's not a standard definition. I understand what you're saying. We don't impose a definition for that.
Okay. No, but here in Spain, they have, like 5. There's a last one that is regarding smart governance. That's the other part of the... Yeah,
and that's super interesting because I know that, I know this is confusing, but somewhere else where I work, there'll be a team who launched a project for intelligent cities. And they go back to that. So smart governance, I don't follow it, but I'm sure it's involved in that. So, it really is up to the single person. I'm trying to keep my sort of balls in the air, all of the balls in the air, but sometimes you lose one. So yes, that is a very good point.
Okay, sorry, I wanted to ask you another question regarding data models. Here in Fiware, there talk about smart data models, and they are working. I know it because I've got contact with the Fiware Foundation, and they are working in the smart data model regarding tourism. Do you have any plan regarding that, or are you open to our how we do the things over here, and we can share it with you, so we can have a standardized way of sharing data instead of having this.
We don't have any such thing. This is where we are. 3 months ago, I joined this team, and they told me, and 3 months ago, while I was joining, other services said, we now need to set up data spaces for tourism. At which point, everybody started saying, well, we want one because it's super needed, because we need data, okay? So in a matter of 3 months, we have gotten to the point that this is now what we need to work on, and nobody knows what it should look like. So we launched a consultation. That's what I put in before. Let me get back to that. This is important because I want to draw the link. We opened this consultation today or Monday or Tuesday, but in any case, very soon. And what we're going to say is, look, what do we need to do this? What are you guys doing that's working? So if you had that kind of model, please reply to this consultation and please tell us. And if this is advanced and you're telling me, well, Spain already has a data space, I want to know about this, because that means they're a lot more advanced than many other member states, and we'll get them to talk to one another. So we'll call the Spanish government and say, please, can you give us a presentation or explain to us what you're doing, okay? So please reply to the consultation.
Okay, thanks.
Creo que queda una pregunta.
I think we still have a question.
Una pregunta. Thank you very much, Misa. I'm Josema, part of the organization of this event. Thanks for being part of this event and for your presentation. It's really nice, really interesting. And yo solamente quiero invitaros a todos a seguir la página.
I will only ask you to follow the website smarttourismdestination.eu, which is a project we are developing right now for the European Commission with a part of the team from CARSA in the Canary Islands, CARSA Bilbao, and CARSA Germany, together with Pricewaterhouse and the University of Malaga. But I invite you to be present in this, because there will be projects and cities and that will be examples that will be implemented in the Canary Islands. And we will be able to follow this project, because this project is designed for this, in order to learn from the best practices, from the best cases, successful cases, and because we have Misa here, so Smart Tourism Destination. So thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much. So next time we hope you are.
Don't even mention, it broke my heart I couldn't be there. But thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias, Misa.
So thank you very much, Misa. So Misa has given us keys, significant keys that we will be able to use in our projects, and it was a real pleasure. So now we will continue to work with the deployment of Fiware in Spain with Juan Marcelo Garaitan. He's the director of Fiware in Telefónica. So go ahead. So he's also accompanied by Ulises Gamero. He's the director of, from Badajoz. Juan Marcelo will tell us about what's being carried out in Spain, and we will talk about this successful case of the digital transformation of Badajoz ESMAS from the Council of Badajoz. And before we start with Juan Marcelo, he has been really linked to all the Fiware IHABs from the very beginning, and he also represents Telefónica within the Council of the Fiware Foundation, with the board of the Fiware Foundation. So, and you will have an excellent speech for sure. So, good morning, everyone. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting us, for having us. We will have a joint presentation, and because this is Friday, I will try to make this presentation as as fun as possible. So I didn't want to go in depth with the technological part because you have already seen this technological part. And I would like to be very agile because today I'm here with an administration with a big project that is being developed in Spain linked to Fiware, because I believe that Fiware, even though it was born, it was created in Europe, as has been said for many times during this presentation, but Fiware is not only in the European market. Fiware, we are very proud. This is European pride, and I will tell you why. Because this was a technology developed and promoted within the framework of the European Union. This is a technology that is being implemented worldwide. So this is a standard linked to intelligent cities, of that necessity of making this cross-sectional to sharing information and opening the data and being intelligent in this digital transformation of society, using Fiware technology that was developed in Europe but has been absorbed by the whole world. Thus, what I wanted to do very simply and very easily, we have to be proud of what we are doing and of what we have, because Spain within Europe is the leading country in smart cities. We are a world reference. And this is not because I'm saying this. This is because the data support this information. So we are not used to having Germany taking Spain as a reference. So the German government recognized that they are probably 5 or 10 years late. So countries such as Japan or India are using Fiware as a lever for the development of intelligent cities, smart cities. And these are big projects that are not being implemented here, but the operation, the seed of these projects was with diverse projects was started here. We are the country with the biggest number of vertical companies and with or vertical projects using in the public administration, using a common standard, which is Fiware. Can I continue?
No hay ningún problema. Os lo cuento.
Fiware is being used as a lever in order to position the technological brand of Spain. We are the country with the highest number of Fiware experts in the world. We are the country with the highest implementation of Fiware projects in the world. We have the biggest number of iHubs based on Fiware. We have the only 3-star Fiware center existing in the Fiware community. This is something that even though it was created, it was not created in Spain, but it was developed by Spanish and European companies. But we have been able to see and to develop it. So Telefónica is one of the companies. I'm a representative of Telefónica. So this is one of the companies that believed in Fiware in 2011. So Telefónica believed that the pathway of digital transformation should be based on open standards. And that's why we started to work on this. From that moment onwards, we have been pushing this initiative. And I will tell you the projects that Telefónica already has or is developing as of this stage. So you can see how Fiware has been assumed by the territories. Can I? Yeah, it's now disconnected. So as I was telling you, some countries such as India or Japan are starting to establish some agreements for the development of smart cities based on Fiware. Germany continues to contact us and to ask us about how we have carried out these smart territories, because we are a reference for them. So as I was telling you, these are just the projects that Telefónica is participating in. They all are using Fiware platforms. We have many more projects in Spain, but I don't have them here because they do not belong to Telefónica. I'm only showing our vision, our view. So Fiware is being used everywhere in Spain. And why? And why does it happen? The future is still to be defined. The companies to be providing that will be providing services in the future. We don't know, but so in order to be open to the future, we must have something that can be open, that can integrate solution not from a single manufacturer but from different operators. Smart cities as a concept is a very interesting concept, but no one can deal with a smart city from 0 to 100. So cities must be built little by little. So every administration, every council, every regional government must start with their own needs, with the issues of the citizenry, some working on sustainability, tourism, mobility. You have to establish a common access to continue to work on the first step. All these, some companies are based on the administration, based on the Fiware standards. These are all solutions based on Fiware, using on cities that are already using these applications. Those applications must consume data from the city platform. Citizens card for the payment of the bus, for the access to museums, solutions links to the electronic paperwork. So they has been working for many years, but they were like Iceland. So the electronic administration must be linked to the smart city. So, for instance, for the efficiency of projects in the cities, for instance, for the garbage collection, so Fiware is being used for these smart applications, for the smart lighting, linked to the environment, solutions for the watering, for the irrigation of the parks and gardens. Also, smart meters for the management of the water in the houses, with a digital measurement of how much water you're using. Also, for the failures, for the breakdowns of the piping, and water is something that we have to control. Also, environmental solutions, traffic solutions, noise solutions. These are all projects that are being developed, managing the cities from rooms full of multimedia devices. Also for the control of the energy efficiency in the buildings. So the administration has, every administration has many buildings, but they do not know how much they are consuming in power until they get the invoice. So with this solution, they will be able to measure how much they are consuming, how much power they are consuming. We also have some projects such as the Fiware Zone in Andalusia, which is the only 3-star iHub that we have, or the Fiware Specs. And Ulises will speak about the Fiware Space. Also, we have some projects in Ceuta for the promotion and in technological innovation. So you have in the islands, the one in Cabildo de Fuerteventura. We also have some solutions for the dynamization of the local trade, of the local businesses. Already we have tourism forums. So I had a presentation with 150 slides, but it was not possible to show so many slides in 15 minutes. So if you have any questions, But these are solutions all kinds. They are linked to smart routes or Bitcoin use, linked to mobility, smart parking applications, when you can use solution, when you can break the pavement, so you can use sensors for the location. All the technology continues to evolve, must be at the service of citizens and of the administration. And that's why we need some platforms that can continue to grow. A smart territory is very complicated, it's very complex, and it has many, many needs. And those needs can be addressed using standards such as Fiware. And I will give now the floor to Ulises, and he will explain a successful case, an actual successful case of a region, of a specific region.
Ulises, todo tuyo.
Thank you very much, Ulises. The floor is now yours. Hello. Good morning. I've got a lot to say in only 15 minutes, so this is going to be very complicated. I'm going to try to... I've got 18 minutes, okay. I'm going to try to summarize at least the idea so you can understand the idea of what we've done, why we've done it, why have we chosen Fiware, where have we gone wrong, which I think is the most important part of sharing an experience, talking about our mistakes. So my presentation is aimed at digital transformation. I think the main challenge that we have at the moment is that digital transformation. What is digital transformation? How does it affect us? 4 years ago, when we started the project, we weren't very sure. We're still not very sure, but at least we know a little bit more. We know what we have to do, which is the way the society is going, and we're starting to understand what it means. We believe that digital transformation consists in changing the way we work so that what we're doing doesn't stop to be the work that we're doing. However, we can make it so that machines do part of that work that we do, and we can focus on doing different types of work. And that's what we think digital transformation consists of. To be able to do this, we need to have information, quality information and real time. Those are two main requirements, because we know that machines work based on quality information. If we don't have that quality information, they won't be able to help us. If we put this is the context of the final aim of our project, which is to use technology to improve the service that we provide, which is our job as administration. I'm going to tell you what have we done over these 4 years since we started with this project, since we implemented our platform, even though this comes from before that, because there's a lot of back office work to make sure that the data is correctly catalogued, making sure that it's quality, and that comes from before then. But the inflection point was the adoption of the platform. We started with Fiware, which was backed by the European Union, because it provided us with coverage for everything that we needed. And I think this was the correct thing to do. What does our project consist of? It's got 3 main points. So in smart solutions for cities, it's all based on the Fiware ecosystem to provide services to the public administrations and also to the town halls, provide them with consulting, support to the different municipalities. We need to transform the territory. We've started doing pilots and interaction of solutions to test our technology available. and we're still doing this. And we're testing those aspects which we find are interesting, relevant in order to improve the service we're providing. So there are 29 solutions that we've got in the project at the moment, smart solutions from waste management, sewage management, smart parking. We're starting to work with smart tourism as well, and all of this applied within the same architecture, within the same platform. And also promoting talent through our innovation center. This center is key to creating a Fiware technology space. We need the local technology companies to know about it. As it is open, as Juan Marcelo has said, we need this to be built between all of us. There can't be a company or a body behind providing all that information. It's got to be all of us, citizens, administrations, companies, and that's the Fiware space. We provide information, mentoring to companies so that they can certify their products with Fiware. We can certify products directly. So we think that this is key. Collaborating with university courses, vocational training. We're working in the training both of companies and academic-wise, so that everyone's got the information, so that in 5, 10, 15 years' time, there'll be lots of people, or most people working in our territory will be aware of technology and will be able to provide value to it. Our province is special. It's the largest in Spain, but it doesn't have many inhabitants. It's a long distance between the different municipalities, and technology here could play a key role because it can shorten those distances. 99% is now connected with fiber optics, and that's provided us the opportunity to offer this platform as a smart region to all municipalities, not just to the public administrations and its services, but the municipalities themselves can use the platform to build their own smart cities. It's all integrated within the whole region. We want to increase this. We said that regions need to collaborate between each other. We're also working with Cáceres in order to build the platform in common with them, with all the public administrations which are working down the same line and speaking the same language as us. That language is based on Fiware. The tools that we're using is the technology behind it. This can be summarized in what I said at the beginning. It's how we use the technology to work for us in certain aspects. Up until now, we use technology to make work easier for us, to make our job easier. But now we need to identify where technology can do the job without us. So this leaves us with time to do other things and work on other projects. Regions who are working with the same technology, the European Union is also working to create a Fiware network, hubs, digital hubs, so that we can all be connected. We're working with the digital innovation hubs now to see how we can connect and share all the information. This technology, this way of seeing technology to make our work easier and our life easier is all based on sharing. If we don't share, then there's no point in all of this, because we're not going to be able to move forward very much. If we don't share information, we won't be going very far. This is what I was telling you about. As I don't have much time, what I'm talking about is based, and it's been talked about lots of times, so I'm not going to repeat what Juan Marcelo has just said. Here we've got a lot of vertical ideas, and the idea is that they work together in collaboration. Having information structured and standardized insofar as possible, and with and of high quality and with depuration of all that information. And this is going to allow us to use technology to create better services. We're now in the initial process of learning about the technology available, implementing vertical solutions to see how far we can go, collaborate with external agencies to see how we can create synergies, comparisons. We're working now with the University of Lisbon, who have created certain analysis to work with the recovery of waste, to see what we need to, how to do the planning of waste collection next year. And we want to see how they've used their algorithms to see how we can adapt that to what we're doing. So we've got the Smart City of Lisbon project, and we're comparing that with our Smart Region project. So this is based on these 3 points of view, on these 3 aspects, on everything that we're integrating. It's important to highlight here that everything is going to be smart. All the information we've got has to go through the information flow of that smart platform. I don't just mean a project, a smart city, what's got to be connected, for example, sensors, real-time data. We're trying to connect the whole strategy with follow-ups, database for budgets, human resources. There is a lot of information that a priori doesn't seem to have a room in a smart city, but there's lots of information there. For town halls, for example, so that they got all the information managed by the council, by the government, such as consulting, subsidies, projects, grants, historical data, evolution, and it's extremely interesting to be able to help them take decisions. The technical office is where we support the project. Without this office, we wouldn't be able to move forward because administrations aren't very quick, aren't very fast. So we need qualified personnel, and it's difficult to get that in a civil worker in a short period of time. So we've got a technical office. Our project is with Telefonica. So we come together to this presentation, but it's working extremely well. When we come out with tenders, they're open to everyone because the technology and the projects don't allow it to be any other way. And the ecosystems, as we said before, there's an innovation lab. We do technology challenges. We do dynamization sessions with the university, with vocational training. We do courses for teachers, for companies. We certify products with Fiware. And we're trying to make it that the whole innovation process in our region comes through us and that they're aware of the solutions. I've not got much time left. I'm going to try to summarize. These are the 3 main features. The platform is integral. It's the digital transformation. All our work will be transformed. Everything's got to go in through the platform. Everything on the platform has to end with depured and accessible technology, or information to whoever needs it. It has to be open so that everyone can collaborate, and it needs to be flexible. Because at the moment, we don't know what's going to happen in 5 years' time or what new technology is going to appear. So if it's not flexible, if we're not open to any kind of change and to be able to take on that change, as soon as there's an important change, we won't be able to follow up. These are the standards because we participate in the project with Fiware technology. So that there's a lot of work that's already done for us. There's a lot of philosophy, the way of working, and that requires an important effort in changing the way we think and for changing the way that public administrations think we've been working in a certain way for many years is very complicated. But it's something that needs to happen. We need to start slowly but surely, identifying areas where it's relatively easy to implement it, roll it out, and gives us short-term replies. For example, in terms of the environmental office can provide information on the collection of waste and different areas. And we think that that would be the best test area to test our technology and see the short-term results. And that has happened. We've used it and they've adapted their way of working on having the information available in real time and connecting all that information with sensors. It's not all there, but we know we're going in the right direction to have it all there in a short period of time. It's open source and it's got standardized protocols. We've got executive controls and operational to be able to take decisions and to be able to integrate all those vertical solutions that we have. We've got lighting, tourism, smart bracelets, virtual reality connected to the platform. There are uses that at first you don't think about it, and then when you launch the project, you think, yes, that fits. We're going to connect it and we're going to use the platform to provide that service. Not directly on the platform, but to consume all that information, to have all that information standardized, share data. We make sure that all the data models that we create, we try to share them with the community to keep them standardized within that structure. And based on that, we start to grow. This is the structure of the platform. We've got the platform, the services, we've got data analysis. At the moment, we've got business intelligence and big data. At 20-30%, we can still do a lot more, but between the lack of time, the amount of projects that we have, and that we need to have the information well structured from the beginning, we've not had enough time to dedicate it to those projects. However, we'll be there in planning, and soon we want to start a project with artificial intelligence. I've got a minute left. So in summary, this is our center. Anyone who wants to visit us, it's open. You can come and visit us. Now with the pandemic, you need an appointment. However, you're welcome to come and visit us and see how we work, the training we provide. We've got a business meetings room and the projects that we've already got. Mentoring to companies that we've done, the region, and the publicity of the Fiware Center itself. You can go in and see all the information on this project. This is our project. It's small. It looks like it's a lot more, but really it's very small. We're aware that we're taking steps. We believe in the right direction, but it's very small. We have very little solutions which are providing benefits to service, which is the aim of all this. That's why we say we're small. We've tested, we've tried, we know where we've got to go, but we've got a lot of work ahead of us. And collaborating with a lot of people, we need to change the way we work, and that's the most complicated thing to change. So without any further ado, if you've got any questions, I'm here, I'm available. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. They will be with us for the roundtable. So if we have any question, any initial question before the roundtable. Yes, we have one. So good morning, everyone. So you have emphasized, and I think you are fully right, about the update of the data. So if you don't have the data, you cannot grow upwards. So how are you dealing with the challenge of the standardization of, and when we talk about the territory, all the private sector should be part of the standardization, and the public data should be shared with the private data, the public and the private. How are you dealing with this management of the information of a territory, of a sector, both within the administration and within the private sector? This is one of the most complicated part of our project. So as you probably know, so the idea that we have to get to that model. Our work consists of identifying solutions, the vertical, or the application that we want to integrate, that we want to embed. And we carry out an internal analysis, both from the staff and from my service too. And then we put forward an standardization that we consider that may be feasible, that probably at this moment will not improve the service, but will improve the service in the future. We do not have problems. We are not facing issues in standardizing this data, but we have to do this from. At this moment, we can assume this. We continue to train people. We can see the performance that this can be homogenized, because we can compare the data from our platform with other platforms in Santander or in Valencia. But at least we have something that is standardized. It is complicated because you have to allocate staff to do this. This is essential. You need staff to do this. And sometimes you have some gaps in these projects, because this is something that you cannot see and you cannot sell. You cannot promote this, because in the council where I work, we have been working on digitalization for over 15 years, but we haven't had funds enough, because you cannot sell, you cannot promote a standardization project. Because why do you want to spend money in standardizing the information that I will get no profit within a couple of years? So, but we are going for this, and we support this, because this will be necessary, because this is a artificial intelligence service that must be using a standardized system. So is your information standardized? No, so you have to standardize it. At least we want to be ready to do that. And are you working with the private sector? So when you start to work with Fiware technology, when we carry out inventorization, or yes, we get to the private sector. Yes, the companies, they see the return that they get on this, because the same solution with the standard model, they can be implemented in Badajoz, they can apply this in Santander, in Valencia, or in Buenos Aires, because the model is standardized and will provide them with a benefit. So, but at the beginning, they do not see it much, but then they find that this is useful, that this is very useful. Could I ask something? So just to answer the question, as a private company, I'm a private company. So the public administrations, you have a significant lever, and Fiware facilitates this lever, which is the tenders, the procurement, public procurement procedures. If you have a standard with a data model that is in the repository, that is the marketplace of the foundation, and when you procure garbage collection system, so you ask the company to provide you with the standardized data, so you all have the possibility to standardize the data. So the public procurement procedures can be used as the obligation to make companies standardize the data. So if you have a basis of a platform that already complies with a standardized model, all the standardized models they use what the community develops, or the community is developing those models. So, and I think that the region with most verticals developed in Spain is Extremadura, and many data models had not been created or developed in the intervention in the community. And some data models have not been developed before Spain. So the good thing about this is that the data models defines. The bad thing is that you have to work on this, you have to work it out. And then the data model will be based as a standard as you have defined it before, because you have worked, but the rest of the community will continue to improve on what you have already defined, what you have initially defined. Do private, so to answer your question, so we see that it's a specific application complies with the standards, and we see that Fiware is the standard model in every municipality. What I use in my, if I use Fiware in my models, in my application, I will be able to resell it, because this can be assumed in other administration. So if I use an API for integration, which one? Fiware. Why? Because this will be useful for many places. And this is something that, so the concepts of the iHubs, and I, as a director of an iHub, we try to tell all these startups that we work with is to let them know, if you're creating a product, if you're developing an application for the citizens, for the agriculture, for farming, for the sustainability. So you have to use the data model recommended by the European Commission, because the developer doesn't mind whether using more fields or less fields. So please use what the European Commission is recommending. So the public procurement procedures are the lever to make them use these data models, because this will be useful. This will be useful. So please do it, even though this is not mandatory, because this will be good for you. Well, then you will have, you can ask them to use these standard models. So finally, as you said at the beginning, so regarding the learning that you have, you mentioned that in the last stage, what is going on with the artificial intelligence, this may be a hype or a lever that some projects are being based in order to face with the most basic part. Are you using this specifically to justify that you have to carry out this standardization? So, do you use this to fund more basic projects for this type of projects? Not at this moment. No. We have the idea that these types of projects must be led by the direction of the organization. So this project comes from the presidency of the council. So part of the success was we had the support from the direction. So the part of the artificial intelligence is not supported so much because they do not have the knowledge enough. They don't have knowledge enough, and we don't know whether this will be coming within 2 or 10 years. We don't know. But when we have that support, we will start to work on this very strongly. But at the moment, we are laying the foundations to properly do it. So thank you very much. Any other questions? So thank you very much. So this is a small, I think you have been able to provide many keys in order to continue to work from our administrations in the Canary Islands. So thank you very much.
Juan Marcelo se queda con nosotros y voy a invitar, mientras vamos
So
colocando...
Marcelo will stay here with us. And we're now going to go on to the round table with Antonio Bermejo. He's the head of innovation of the Cabildo of La Palma, and he's coordinating the project La Palma Smart Island. So he's going to be moderating this round table so he can present the others. We got here Miguel Garcia, who's also going to be on the round table. And if you want, you can call the rest to the floor. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm just going to take off my mask. Thank you very much to the organization for inviting me to be here today. It's the second time now that we participate with FiHub, VHub, and Fiware. And today I have the honor of being the moderator of this round table. Today I've got to be the moderator, as I just said, of this round table, which is going to talk about expectations for smart islands. On the table with us today, we're going to have Mr. Manuel Gaitan, who's we had before, Juan Marcelo Gaitan. He's the editor of Fiware in Spain, works with Telefonica. We've got Miguel Garcia Brosa, who I know from a previous conferences. And he's an expert now in smart island technology. Then we have Juan Antonio Cantero. He's the counselor for modernization. Thank you for being here today. He's a communication engineer and works for Molina de Segura. And he's been working in the private sector with the university. He's the counselor of technology in the town hall of Molina de Segura. We also have Iris Cuevas, who's the Chief Technology Innovation Officer at HOPU, Innovation Director. She's also collaborated in other projects, responsible for collaboration in sensors, communication, and data analyzer at HOPU. And we also have Martin, who works with data analytics at the University of Galway in Ireland, data analyst. And something very important, he's the technical director of Smart Reunions in Ireland. This is the panel that we're going to have today on this round table that, as you all know, works on intelligent islands and success stories. After this brief presentation, we're going to have 5 minutes to reach where we are. Smart islands come from that previous concept of smart cities, smart territories, but now we're talking about smart territories who have to be efficient because they're isolated from mainland. And technology here can play a key role. For example, the people are involved, the processes are involved, and how can we land these processes in that relationship between the public administration, citizens, companies, and the third sector? In the Canary Islands, that could be tourism. And between all of us, we need to create that ecosystem so that the islands can be open. And the islands have always been an amazing lab to test technology. So the debate is going to be it's going to be based on 3-4 questions. Please try to keep your answers short so we all have the chance to speak. And we're going to talk about smart islands and the experience that you all have with these projects. Challenges, opportunities that you think there are, based on the concept of smart islands. Because we're not cities, we've got different problems, and see where we come from and the experience that we have. So if you want, Miguel, we can start with you. Well,
I think that the main thing of how we have addressed the projects, I think Ulysses mentioned this before. So very often an error or a mistake that frequently made by the administration. So the suppliers of technology used to come to the administration with the idea of smart cities that were coming to us. So sometimes we have the intention of creating a big project from the very first day, and then you will never be able to launch this, to complete the project, and this is something that you cannot probably chew because you cannot swallow. So our strategy was not that was not our strategy, and we launched very specific case of use that will allow you have a demonstration result within a short period of time. And then you can have some results that you can show and that can help the administration trust you, and then can continue to provide you with the things so that in order to continue to grow the project. So as I mentioned in my introduction, we also always have to have the big picture in order to avoid that those specific cases of use that you are launching very quickly cannot be isolated, so that you can finally integrate them within the big picture. And this is what we did. We firstly launched vertical projects, and now we are finishing with the specific platform that must comply with specific requirements, must meet specific requirements. But we didn't create a macro project. So we did something very specific and vertical, and we want to select a specialized tender, and we wanted to have some so that they can have some APIs and data structures that can be integrated, and this is being procured at this moment. I fully agree with Miguel's view. This is the experience that we have had. So even though in the end, all the administration, regardless of the territory, big or small, we perceive that we have a common necessity. The governors governs for the citizens. So there's no real territoriality, and this governance intends to improve the life of the people. So something happens with the intelligent territories and with the smart tourism destination and with the smart cities. We have to improve the life of the people and also optimize the operation of the public services in order to operate them more efficiently with less resources to both those who live there and to those coming as visitors. And this can be done in many ways: creating employment, establishing companies, improving the tourism, saving energy, managing the buildings. And as I was saying, in every city, in every municipality, every municipality has very specific needs based on their own models of work, on base of their own models of operations. on their own, based on their own needs. And the way to deal with this, at the moment of digital transformation, if you try to eat the big elephant, even though you may have the money to do this, sometimes this is very complicated to do. Sometimes this may not be useful because we are going so quickly. It may be impossible to censor the whole lighting at once or to mix it with all the mobility projects. In my presentation, I was trying to show the many things you have to do in order to accomplish that digital transformation. There are many thousands of things you have to do first. So you have to do this step by step based on the specific needs of the region or the situation. This is the most intelligent. You have to carry out small actions at each moment. And then that's why you need a platform that allows you to do this gradually. So thank you, Juan, for your answer. Martin. So thanks for this space, for the organization, for the hub, for inviting me, for having me, and giving me the opportunity to share my experience. I've been working for over 10 years, working on the smart cities concept. And from my perspective, the activity that I have carried out in many, the smart cities are an evolution. We're living this as a challenge. Digital transformation is a challenge. These are services that must be supported by technology, by users, by people. And obviously, transformation cannot happen from one day to the other. So you need platforms, you need systems, and you need evolution. So, and I've been working in Ireland for over 15 years since I moved from Spain. So Ireland has given me the opportunity because Ireland is a small country, but they are in the use of technology, and they can also implement and I have used my experience as a researcher and also as an advisor, and of course we are experiencing this transformation. In some countries this goes quicker, in other cities this goes slower. So there and many people talk about replicating the experience of other cities. And we all know matrioskas, so you have little dolls. So this simulates a city, but this is a mistake because not all cities can look like the other cities. So this is not collaboration, this is not replication. This is what you do not need. I will go in detail with this later on. So from Hopo, our perspective, very similar to the one that you are mentioned in the roundtable. We all put a little piece, and we have some experience in Maspalomas, in La Palma, and I would like to thank from here all the participants of the island of La Palma because they have welcomed our solutions. And we have been using this Smart City, Smart Island solution from the point of view of sustainability, because this is what we promote on our idea. This must be sustainable cities. This must be a smart tourism destination where you promote all the activities on the digitalization and the cost saving of the different solutions, but always align together with the impact of tourism and the impact of these activities that have on the cities and on the quality of life of the people who are living here all the year round. Juan, what can you tell us about that? My own experience. So I'm a technical engineer and I'm a counselor for a couple of years. So, and sometimes I find it difficult to explain to the politicians what we do. So I established the Fiware platform, and then Hopu installed the platform, and it was in a region that it was bordering with the capital city of Murcia, So, and this can be interconnected. I'm very interested in this and very excited because we can share information both in Fiware, and then you can correlate the information. And now the following steps, we are trying to get all those cities in the region of Murcia with Fiware in order to interconnect with them. So now we are going to, what's the role that you play in the administration? And then we will try to get a public value, to give a public value to this. This was the first question. The second question that I had prepared, it was about something that you mentioned before in your presentation regarding smart tourism destination and the sustainable tourism objectives. How are you implementing your applications or your services in this destination? And what's your responsibility that you have in connection with the environment? Are you working with the objectives? So I would like to know what's the degree of integration of the development that this application have in connection with the objectives for 2030. So Miguel? So it is clear that the objectives of sustainable development are a guideline, but with regard with tourism, so these are a very specific guideline because all the activities have an impact on the compliance with the objective, but we also have a feedback with tourism based on your objectives. So this has a feedback on tourism because how well preserved your natural environment is. This will be an attraction for the tourists to come. So our value is, for instance, in the Canary Islands, our value is the natural environment. And also safety is another value. And the degree of compliance, the social balance, the wealth for everyone, and having employment for everyone, that is established as an objective, as a sustainable development objective. This will result in higher social welfare and social security. So smart tourism destination has to consider this very importantly, and this must be an instrument in order to favor the compliance with the sustainable development goals. And also, this must play an element in order to measure, because we have so much technology to capture so many data, we have to use them to create indicators to see how good or how badly we are advancing in the compliance with the objectives. I don't want to intervene, but I agree because I think Gran Canaria is leading this, and we have to learn to measure the information. I think you have to use these indicators. We are used to measuring this information from the public administration. Can you tell us about your experience? So as you were saying, so the objectives of sustainable development are not only a guideline, they are more than a guideline. They reflect a social need, a focus that we have to work on based on the evolution of society, because we have to take care of the planet, we have to care for the planet, and we have to use the resources properly. And the basis to take good decisions is to have the data. And technology has to be at the service of getting that information. But it's not only about getting the information. The data are nothing. The important is not the data. The important thing is knowledge. Knowledge, as Martin said, this is a process, and we are all learning. And based on what Ulises said before, sometimes we want or we would like to go quicker than what we can. So we need what we want. We have to get the data that using sensors, consultation on the social media. We have a lot of information that is not digitalized, but we have already have the information. But then you have to convert the data into knowledge. This is the key element. This is when we get the artificial intelligence in order to predict, to provide advice, to recommend. And this is a step that not everyone is taking. And we, in Telefónica, we have a lot of information from many different sources, but not as an operator, we have access to a lot of information, but we have to use it in a safe way and in a controlled way. We have to convert data into knowledge in order to help society or the leaders to take these decisions, or the decision makers to take these good decisions. The tourism industry is something that I've been intrigued about. So this is the verticals, because this is not only to establish the optimal conditions for the visitor, but also for the tourists who may be also tourists within their own area. And smart ports, when you have a boat, when you come a cruise ship. So this is coming a full town, because you have services, you have a theater, you have attractions, you have people who want to have to eat, who want to have a meal, who want to have fun. So you do this based on the experience, and all. You can also do this based on the data. This data can be collected, compared, and every cruise ship behaves differently, and we can not only use smart ports but also smart buildings that can be converted into models. But the tourism sector itself is an ecosystem, and you have to use sustainable alignment, and this results in challenges. And these are no conditions, these are opportunities in order to define and foster the processes. Of course, I'm coming from the perspective of the use of the data. I remember in 2015 when we started in platforms such Open IoT, and we were looking at that to establish a manner to interpret those data in any sector and in any industry, and in order to process the data. Today, we are having solid platform or mature platforms such as Fiware that will be able to process the data. As a researcher, we are working on the next evolution, which is specifically the use of the data using data economics. Data that were available, that some people did not dare provide the data because they may be misused. But using this as a marketplace that I am coordinating, we can speed up that the people in the tourism sector, and this is an evolution that I see as a process in the data. Not in but in the platform is ready. But now we need the data to use it. Data, services, applications, and platforms. From HOPU, I think that we have many cases that over the last years, the adoption that and the fusion of the ideas in sustainable cities. And if I analyze the successful cases and the real experience that we have as a company, all of them, we have this variable data because all the cities are interested with the Climate Act that was published recently, the generation of sustainable change for the regional funds of the European Union, and also the interest of the growing interest of the cities for the implementation and the efforts of the cities, especially in the islands, because once they have a small version of the platform, they want to launch this as the main vertical of these solutions that may cover the environmental part in order to declare not only as something that is an obligation, but also as a social corporate social responsibility about the quality of the air. Because we have a lot of offers in the transport sector industry to measure the impact when a cruise comes to Cartagena, to see how those travelers come to Cartagena, for instance, how the levels of pollution increases or decreases. And most smart cities, one of the main interests is to combine the fact of being a sustainable cities within ODS and through the interpretation of the as well, we have many dashboards in order to interpret how the crowds or how a tourism event in the city can increase the levels of traffic. Or we have just finished a very interesting project on the contamination on the island of Gran Canaria, because we has been very interesting of the sources of contamination, and the successful cases have all been linked in the case of La Palma with lighting contamination, all linked to the environment and sustainability.
This is very important, and what I'm going to say is even more important. We all know that Europe and Spain are going to move forward. And now with Fiware, what we're trying to do is use the proposal with and join the European proposals so that we can have a good result. Then we're going to see how we can use this. My technical department's already preparing what we want to present so that we can go there and then measure the results of our project. And then over the years, we can see the evolution of the city. And this is very, very important. In order to add something to this aspect, there are things that data managers can do with our data sets, with each of these indicators. So when we publish our data portals, the localization through these indicators makes it easier to provide information, and that can be an indicator for us to know where we have information, where we have data on each aspect. This is quite easy, and this positions ourselves, and it provides it provides lots of interesting aspects that we can learn from. Another aspect that I wanted to talk about, and I'd like to know your opinion about, is what I was saying before about the integration of citizens and companies. This is an event based on technology, but we need to see how we can take this to citizens and companies who aren't related to technology, and how they can make the most of all this advance. So everything is going so fast, we don't even have time to think about what we want to do. So how can we take these projects, how can we present these projects? What have you done with your hubs, with your innovations? Or if you've got any ideas that you could share with us on how to do this within the market. Let's follow the same line. So Miguel? Well, that's a very interesting question, especially in our case as I think that these projects have to have visibility towards citizens in the political world. This is something that needs to be evaluated and assessed. And a complication that we've got in the local government is that we don't have a direct relationship with citizens. We're not as visible towards citizens. It's not like those provided by a city, which provides more services, for example, city traffic, waste collection. The only one who's got a more or less direct contact with citizens between the local government as the intercity communications and road works. But everything else is kind of hidden. The management of eco parks, you don't see that. They're one of those aspects that you see it when it's going wrong, but not when everything is doing correctly, when it goes the way we want it. So it's very difficult to give it visibility because citizens are going to be more aware of a smart territory. They say, oh, being able to identify as they receive direct services. For example, in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, you've got systems to hire bicycles, to pay at public parking areas. There are certain things that you can see day to day, whereas in our case, it's much more complicated. Something else is in terms of data. One thing is the service you provide them, and something else is the data that you share, where citizens and companies not only have the role of consumers of that data that we're providing, but what the projects need to work towards is to include citizens and companies and other entities to give them that role of consumer and data providers, which isn't at all easy because obviously they're going to be involved insofar as they benefit from it, which isn't that easy. And to the extent that they trust that the data that you're going to provide them will be correctly confidential and also the data that they're using is trustworthy. So there's a lot of work there in terms of data governance. Lots of public administrations are talking about public innovation hubs, which is creating a bridge between citizens and administrations. Because sometimes administrators say you've got to do this ABC. However, if we don't integrate the citizen in all of this, who are the end users, then you're missing something in that system. You need to have the feedback from the citizens and allow them to participate, for example, quality of air quality, traffic, waste collection. I agree totally with you. In Telefónica, we think that citizens have to be in the core. We can't marginalize citizens. And sometimes we don't say things properly. We don't say that all these investments, all this technology development is done for them. Sometimes they don't see it. They don't appreciate it. But the fact of why this is being done is to be more effective. And I think I'd like to talk about two aspects where citizens are in the center so that we can, on the one hand, we need to make them part of all of this, and administrations need to transform themselves. And on the other hand, we need to help them to understand by creating programs, public programs to train citizens. There's a huge gap between technology and citizens. Technology is here to stay. This pandemic has demonstrated the need of technologies to have a link or provide a certain quality of life. It's not the key to everything, but it can help to develop certain activities. And there are many citizens who aren't ready to do this change to digital technologies. Cities are transforming, and citizens need to transform with their smart cities. And in order to do this, we need, at Telefónica, we're receiving requests from many institutions asking us to create these hubs so that on the one hand, they can transform a smart city or a smart tourist destination, but that we need to be able to transform that destination, but also transform as citizens, especially those who have less capacity of transforming, and telling them how they have to work now, how they have to use this digital transformation to be able to get on that train, especially with the SMEs. Non-technological SMEs are being isolated from all of this development, because not every single company needs to create technology. There are companies who are just consumers of technology, but we need to get them on board, show them the ecosystems, the entrepreneurships. The administration needs to believe in all of this so that everyone can get onto that train of the digital transformation. Martin, the perspective or question of how we've done it, maybe here I can include the local council, the local government. I'm going to compare it with some cities in Ireland. One of the main elements that we talk about as the living labs, it's like living some regions or areas within the cities and inviting the citizens who live there to participate in this test. And that gives us amazing results. The second element, which is always taken into account in Ireland, is the National Development Plan, NDP. And that's an aspect of how to digest all those elements of the living labs and convert them into policies, governance, and assets that the government can then implement for citizens. We've already talked about other aspects related to this. Normally there's directed technology and the results that the governments provide in a tender pool. So what we've done in Ireland is create an NDP so that all those tender pools are related to the living labs. So to know what success this have, we're rediscovering all of this, and it's a very dynamic. These living lab projects, which have also taken place in Spain, they've been integrated. In Ireland, some of them have been innovated, they're dynamic. And this is where I have responsibility as researchers, a research center. We've always wanted to innovate because technology gets renovated at all the time. But because you renovate one doesn't mean the death of another technology. You can incorporate it. I call this the quadruple helix, the 4 parts that govern a city, or how to use technology for citizens and research from an academic point of view, from universities. This quadruple helix could give us the solution. But at the moment, it's a system. But I think that in the Canary Islands or in Spain in general, and with nationality in front of you, you need to organize all that information that you've got. There's loads of helix. Look, there's lots of success cases that could be incorporated to create this quadruple helix. There could be ways that we don't know how to implement the technology. We're not sure. I've been to Bilbao, I've been to Murcia, and we're extremely happy to share my experience. And we could replicate the same procedure all over the place. Yes, it's very important to follow up on the different cases.
Well, I think that regarding the involvement of citizens and companies as our colleague mentioned, so some companies are very behind regarding the digitalization or the use of data or how to extract data within their services, but there are other companies that are linked to services, providing services to the service, because the cities have been the first entities adopting the Fiware technology to create platforms and try to get the most of the data out of the data. All the associated services such as garbage collection services, maintenance of lighting, the transport services, the maintenance of the roads. All these companies have seen the need to implement solutions to go for the digital transformation. And this is something that where you see the maturity on the need for sharing data or sharing these common spaces or establish a marketplace as or the I4 Trust. So we have to share the data between companies and public and private entities, and not in a bi-directional way, but in a more complex way. And some companies are taking this step forward, and regarding the citizens, we have to make them become involved, we have to train them, but also we have some other solutions. So some smart tourism destinations are establishing some solution integrating the tourism offer, not only events, schedules. They are also offering green routes for visiting the smart tourism destination, different monuments. And so getting the technology not only to the elderly, but also to the children, so that they can see the significance or the meaning of a sculpture. So we have some projects of the smart heritage where you can go through different monuments in the city, and then you can see videos where the citizens, the people people have been living there, they explain the traditions, the meaning, why we have a sculpture for a worker, or we can see in a very digital format those cultural elements that some tourists may be missing. And this is being doing using a smart platform involving the citizens using mobile technology. And then the local companies play an essential role, because this is the companies who know the citizen. So during the pandemic, we have realized, because citizens, they needed technology to carry out the paperwork from home, and they have lost the fear to technology, because before they were afraid of technology, of using the mobile phone to pay. From my council, what we are doing regarding the citizens, we have established, enter into an agreement with an entity, with a public entity, so that the citizens can have the difficult certificate, so that it can carry out the paperwork using these digital tools. And we, in our public tenders, so we have established this as a compulsory requirement. They have to use Fiware, and they will adapt, and they will invest money and training so in order to integrate Fiware. This is the only way to work with private entity, is by obligating them. So this is the end of the roundtable. It has been hugely interesting. We may continue to speak here, but I think we are clear about the answers that they have given. So we will have a quick round of Q&A, very quick questions. Any comments, any contribution you would like to make? So it seems that it's very clear. I think we forgot to mention that cities must be self-assessed. We have the key KPIs, or the key performance indicator, or how a city is maturing or is creating its smart city. And unfortunately or fortunately, we have many initiatives, standards, organization, ITU, ISO, and we also have European organizations that have established guidelines, but all of them contribute to what I said before. This is the matryoshka that everyone wants to replicate, that a city is over-dimensioned or maybe very small, because when the visitors come, we have more issues than solutions. And what we're doing with Casablanca, with the trade department, we are looking for key performance indicator that can be adjusted to every city. This is an holistic KPI. This is an official document that will be launched within a couple of weeks. and I invite all the cities and cabildos and companies in Spain to review this document. This document will not transform or convert into smart cities, but this will alleviate the pain of having to follow what others do. This is to define a process for yourself, but considering the regional growth and in the islands such as Ireland, Gran Canaria, so to consider this island as a smart city. And then when you have the quadruple helix, you will understand that for each city or for each island, you have different dimensions, because sometimes the companies, they want to, because they have had previous good experience, they want to continue with the same, but sometimes they are over-dimensioning the process, or they are hindering the trajectory of so this holistic KPI may facilitate the self-assessment of cities even before establishing the technology, even before assessing what we define the process and we implement the process. So thank you very much, because this is, we will put an end. So what we cannot measure, you can analyze it. So we have to measure in order to analyze and improve. Thank you very much.
Perdonen, ahora sí.
Excuse me. No, thank you very much for being with us today, for sharing your experiences. And now, I don't know whether we will have the results. Yeah.
Vale. Hola. Sí, simplemente decirles que esta
Yes,
tarde...
I simply wanted to tell you that you are all invited to the at 6 p.m. the presentation of the solution that have been carried out in the Fiware challenge. We know that all the teams were working last night, even very late at night, and they were very excited about the presentation that they will present this afternoon. So you are all invited, and we want to see good solution in order to implement this data and this Fiware within the ecosystem and within the companies and other solutions. Thank you very much. Nothing else. Thank you very much.